The Kohen leaves camp and meets the Metzorah and sees that the lesion is gone. 2 pure birds are taken with a piece of cedar wood, crimson-colored wool, and an izov plant. 1 bird is slaughtered into a clay cup with water, and the live bird is binded with the other objects and dipped in the blood, which is sprinkled on the Metzorah 7 times. The live bird is freed. The Metzorah dips himself and his clothes in water, shaves all his hair, and sits out of his tent for a week, and then shaves and dips again. On the 8th day, he takes 2 male sheep and 1 female sheep, and those are his chatat, olah, and asham sacrifices, together with 2 esronim of fine flour and a log of olive oil, and stands before the Kohen before Ohel Moed. The Kohen smears from the blood of the asham on the cartilage of the right ear, the thumb of his right hand, on the big toe of the right foot of the Metzorah. The Kohen pours some of the oil into his hand and sprinkles 7 times in the direction of the Kodesh, and smears from the oil on the ear and thumb and toe of the Metzorah. The remains of the oil are smeared on the head of the Metzorah. His sacrifices are given and he is purified. If the Metzorah is poor, the process is the same, besides the fact that he brings 1/3 of the fine flour and 2 birds instead of 2 sheep. If a lesion appears on the walls of a house, the tools in the house are taken outside so they won't become impure. If the Kohen sees areas that look sunken in the wall and they are green or red, he exits and announces that the house must be quarantined for a week. Anyone who enters will be impure until the evening and then must dip himself and his clothes. If the lesion spreads after a week, the specific stones in the mortar are removed and thrown out of camp. New stones are placed and plastered in. If the lesion returns, it is tzarat mam'eret and the house is destroyed and the waste is disposed. If the lesion doesn't return, a bird is slaughtered into a clay dish with water, and then a live bird, binded with a piece of cedar wood, crimson-colored wool, and an izov plant, are dipped in the blood, which is sprinkled on the house 7 times, and then the live bird is freed and the house is pure. A discharge that comes out of the genitals is called ziva, and it impures the person and impures anything that he sits or lies on. Whoever touches the zav, or his spit, or anything he sat or lay on, will be impure until the evening and will need to dip himself and his clothes. If someone leaned or picked up something that the zav lay on, he is also impure. After the discharge stops, the zav counts 7 clean days and then dips himself and his clothes in spring water. On the 8th day, he sacrifices 2 birds for an olah and chatat. A woman who has a discharge of semen is impure until evening and needs to dip. A woman who's bleeding menstruation blood is impure and called a nidah for a week and impures anything she touches or sits or lies on. If she is intimate with someone, he too is impure as a nidah for 7 days. A woman who is bleeding not at the time of her period is called a zava, and she is impure and impures others. When the bleeding stops, she'll count 7 clean days and then sacrifice 2 birds, and then she'll be pure.